Good morning, everybody. My name is Russell Prince. I'm the CEO of SAFETY International, and I've got the pleasure of introducing a number of speakers today with quite a wide range of experience across a number of different businesses. And I'm sure you're going to find their presentations very, very interesting. I've worked with Management Force for quite a number of years now, and I've been to all but one of their safety galas, and I've always found them very, very interesting. And the speakers have always interested me in the various topics that they've covered. And I don't think these speakers, you'll find these speakers any different at all. So I'd like to introduce the first speaker. This lady is a lady called Anita Tudor. She's the HSSE advisor for OMV Petrom, which is one of the largest oil refineries in Romania. Anka's been there a number of years. She's been working for the refinery for 33 years, the last 13 of which she's been working in health and safety. She's a BSc in oil technology and petrochemistry, and she'll be looking at the leader's role in improving health and safety culture within an organisation, and how leaders should spend more time with the workforce and sell safety to the workforce. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you now to Anita Tudor. Thank you very much, Anita.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to start this session. Today I'd like to discuss you about why it's necessary to do the right things well related to safety, because we are discussing so much about safety culture, safety behavior. So let's see why is safety so important. But first, let's see my presentation. Only a second. Can you see it? My presentation can be seen on the screen?
Yes, you can see it, Anka.
Okay. So, the little smiley guy, whom by the way is my nephew, has the answer. Why is safety so important? Because each of us wants to go home back to his family after a day's work in good health. Why should we manage health and safety? First of all, it's a duty and a moral responsibility of a company to create and maintain a safe working place for the employers, clients, suppliers, local community, and other stakeholders. Each and every person who leaves her house going to work should come back to the family in good health. Second, it's a legal requirement. All the employers must demonstrate to how they comply with the relevant laws. Last but not least, financial reason. There are very high costs associated with accidents and also reputation that can be dramatically affected. For all these reasons, most of the companies declare safety as #1 priority. But despite advances in technology and implementation of safety management systems, the last decade has been littered with events that remind us that there are still a lot to do in improving safety. Let's remember 2005, Buncefield incident. Overflow of petrol at the storage plant at Buncefield, England, led to an emission of vapor cloud, creating a massive explosion that was felt miles around and generated a fire that devastated the surroundings. Direct cause, a gauge for monitoring fuel's volume on one tank has been sticked for several months, and a high-level switch for closing down the flow of petrol was inoperable. Also, the bounds around the petrol tanks were inadequately designed and poorly maintained. but the root cause of the incident was defined by an independent investigation report as a corporate culture where keeping the process operating was a primary focus and safety did not get the attention, resources, or focuses that it required. In the same year, Texas City incident also created a scene of disaster when a release of flammable liquid caused explosion and fire. The United States Chemical Safety and Hazardous Investigation Board said that the root cause was national deficiencies at all levels of the corporation, including cost cutting, failure to invest, production pressure, which cumulatively had impacted safety at the site. April 2010, explosion of a platform in the Gulf of Mexico claims lives of 11 men and others 17 suffered serious injuries. Root cause, organization and operating team did not possess a functioning safety culture. 24 April 2013, Dhaka, Bangladesh, 1,134 people killed and more others seriously injured due to crashing to the ground of 8-story building known as Rana Plaza. Several days before the collapse, workers had reported cracks appearing in the wells. 15th of November 2014, back in the United States, a release of 10,500 kilos of methyl mercaptan killed 4 workers at the DuPont chemical plant in La Porte, Texas. And the chairman of the US Chemical Safety Board remarked, what we are seeing here in this incident is definitely a problem of safety culture. And the list goes on and on. All major disasters have as root cause safety culture, if you observe. Even if the accident does not reach the front pages of the newspaper, it certainly changed the life of the injured person. So, how to do the right things well in order to reduce risks and avoid incidents? First of all, we have to know what are the right things. Let's think at a simple analogy with a car. First, we have to focus on technical standards and procedure in order to design a safe car.
Anka, excuse me, are your slides moving along? Because they seem to be stuck.
Only a second, because yes, my slides, yes. Okay. Sorry. It was a problem with So, first of all, we have to focus on these standards to design a good car, yes, a modern one. Second, we need rules to be able to drive the car. And then we have to drive the car safely. So we choose how to behave. I bet that all of you, at least once in your life, exceeded the speed limit and broke the traffic rules, even if you knew that was something wrong to do. Why? Because we are human beings and we can find a lot of excuses for this kind of behavior. We are in a hurry, we have a new car and we want to test it and so on. Even if we know that our behavior can lead to a serious car accident, we still do it, thinking that nothing bad can happen to us. And it's the same in industry. Why we see repeated incidents having similar causes with similar lessons learned? Usually people are not thinking on safety when they go to work. They are thinking how to perform the job quickly, how to please a superior, or they are thinking on the family problems. Most of the time, people make mistakes unintentionally. They simply don't realize the risk. This is happened due to the lack of experience, routine, lack of attention, misunderstanding of the task. So, how to convince people to do the right things well? How can we reach the mind and the soul of the people in order to behave safely? The starting point for improving safety culture is represented by people and must begin from top down with the line management and continue with each member of the organization. Real leaders must be an example in order to be followed by others. A leader must be capable to give people the power to intervene when they observe an unsafe act or unsafe condition. They have to convince people to do the right things, not to try to force them to do things in a specific way. Safety culture. Safety culture exists when employees understand the importance of safety and behave in a positive way, as wearing personal protective equipment without being asked, completing risk assessment for all jobs, reporting all unsafe acts or unsafe conditions or incidents, applying the learnings from different events. So, what is safety culture? The way they perform things without being supervised. What are the ingredients for a successful business? Let's see. We start with leadership. It is recognized that leadership is important in the creation of a culture that supports and promotes a strong health and safety performance of an organization. The effective team leader is vital in inspiring people. Remember, you have to treat people as you expect to be treated. Another ingredient is communication. As leader, the more we talk about safety, the more clearly becomes that around us, to those around us, that this is important for us. Discuss about unsafe acts, risk control, lessons learned from the events, safety alert. Make safety communication part of daily business. Encourage. Use gentle encouragement in an effective way to focus attention on what is required to make people to move in the right direction. Also, engage people. Work to them to identify challenges, solutions, and approaches. Enable. Build the competence and confidence to allow people to understand how to do it for themselves. In this way, you create skills and knowledges. Empower people to take action. People will learn things for everything they will do, and these learnings will help to take decisions when they face with new challenges. Workers' involvement in safety is essential. The reality shows that compliance and control are not sufficient to create a zero accident target. It is necessary to find ways to encourage interaction and facilitate the empowerment. Last but not least, create and recognize success. Make people to feel proud to be part of them. Celebrate success with focus on safety. When people do good things, let them know that are going into the right direction and appreciate their effort. And don't forget that a simple thank you, a pat on the back, worth a lot. Good leaders inspire others to have positive attitude towards safety by setting a good example of safety and rewarding staff for good safety behavior. If leaders are consistent, they can influence the safety climate. Safety performance is a vital aspect of doing business today, whatever in the world you are. Good safety is good business. I wish you success in creating a safe environment by doing the right things well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anka, for your very interesting presentation. And I think one of the things that I was listening to there was, or building into it, was that I think striving towards good health and safety and doing the right things to help will also help health and safety professionals to develop a sustainable health and safety program, which is obviously going to have then a positive impact on businesses and their economic health. So thank you very much for that presentation, Anka, and we'll be taking questions for Anka later if you put them in the chat box, and then we can pick them up later and pass them back to Anka when we have the question time. So the second person I want to introduce now is a lady called Anita. Is it Senderek? I think it's pronounced. Excuse my pronunciation, Anita, it was not quite right. And what Anita's going to do is she's going to present a topic on health and safety culture and aligning health and safety culture and health and safety management systems. Anita's the safety manager from Chipita in Poland, and she's worked there a number of years. She's, as they say, risen through the ranks and served her health and safety apprenticeship in a number of different departments of the organisation, working in the laboratory and quality control and production. She's also been an internal trainer for Chipito, and in 2020 she got a role as a health and safety inspector, and subsequently she's now the health and safety manager. So she's done quite a lot of things which I think will send her in good stead for the role of a health and safety manager. She's also got a lot of the requirements I think that's needed, a good understanding of the business of Chipita. Through the various roles, she's also feels that she's got the opportunity to understand the culture from a different levels and across the organisation. Yes. And I think you'll get some of that in the presentation that she presents to us today. So she's been also heavily involved in the cultural changing programme within Chipita since 2018. So I'd like to now introduce Anita and leave you in her capable hands. So thank you very much, Anita. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you for inviting me for this wonderful gala. It is a big honor for me, and I'm very grateful that I can represent my company. So right now I share you my presentation. Co teraz?
Najpierw projekcję zacznę. Okay.
Dobra, czekaj. Minimalizuję? Nie, to.
Prawy zoom.
Tu?
Dalej. Trzeba zamknąć jeszcze raz zacząć.
To zamknę.
Jeszcze raz. A tu share. Przestój.
Tu, nie wiem, tu. Tu pan.
No kliknij przestój.
Just bear with us, ladies and gents, while we just sort this little glitch out. I think we're there, almost there now.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can, Anita. Thank you. That's good now.
Thank you.
O,
Share
to się
some.
powiem.
We start from what Chipita will do. In 1973, Chipita was established in Greece. In 1991, saw the arrival on the market our 7 days croissant, individually packaged baked snack with long chain life, followed shortly thereafter by the 7 days mini croissant. In 1995, our innovative savory bake rolls hit the markets, rapidly establishing themselves as consumer favorite. In 1996, Chipita has been operating outside Greece, since by setting up production plants in Bulgaria, followed by Poland, Romania, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, and more recently, Turkey, Malaysia, Mexico, India. Within the first half of 2021, we'll start operation in Slovakia. Chipita Poland status in August 2020. An organization fully respecting the laws, detailed safety procedures in place, experienced personnel, and committed management, and president vision not to harm people. Since summer 2020, we start a culture change program, receiving the group revised health and safety policy and management system guidelines. And the most important question for me, why we do it? We do it for them. This photo presents the children of our employees who work with us. For us, this is family business with a family atmosphere. We want to together create safety culture and ensure safe workplaces. Safety leadership. A good manager finds satisfaction in helping others be productive, not being the most productive person in the room. I like this sentence. I believe in this sentence, and this sentence flows from my heart. Why? Because not all of our employees are educated. Not all of them are confident in their ideas. We are here to show them the way, to give them that confidence that yes, I can, yes, I do it, yes, I change the culture. Another safety leadership, that the concept safety is an integrated part of the work and the business overall, was present, explained, and agreed as a key element of the safety culture program by Mr. Tomasz Lianos, country manager Chipita Poland. During the launching the ICSA program. After these words, we were sure that with such support, we could achieve a lot together as a team. Working with procedures, proposal for improvement. Like I said, we want our employees to be productive. By proposal for improvements, we want to show that they are important to us and that their opinion is very important. And we get a lot of interesting ideas. Making use of our safety knowledge during trainings, we are trying to aware our workers how important is safety in the workplace. Through the ICS program, we gave knowledge leaders, and right now the leaders share with employees this knowledge. On these pictures, we can see Adam, our warehouse leader, which conduct training with warehouse staff. So our people, our strength. Technical solution. ICSI program does not focus on technical and managerial improvements directly. Instead, it focuses on culture improvements that result in technical and managerial improvements occurring in sustainable climate. From the left side, we can see our old type of forklift, And for the right side, we will see for a moment a film with our new equipment, new type of forklift. So, walking through the warehouse in a place where we can't see the forklift yet, but we can see big blue light and we can hear a special noise, so we know that forklift is near to us. Another technical solution, installation of protective railing. We know how dangerous it is to work at height, and we try to pay as much attention to make it safe in every aspect. In every place where workers have to work at height, we have installed special protection barriers. Next technical solution, replacement of steps. Replacing of slippery stairs, which have caused many near misses, with safer and less slippery ones. After the positive feedback from our employees, we feel happy and we were able to provide at another safety workplaces. Changing of culture, blocking of ladders. Before this safety program, ladders were often blocked. It only took a few interventions to prevent the ladders from being blocked. Traffic arrangements. It only took a few days and we all start parking reverse. This ensures quick evacuation. Change culture, compressed air guns. Compressed air guns were often on the floor, posing a tripping hazard. These were our bad habits, I think. We believe that the use of drum type is safer. We have eliminated the possibility of tripping. Change culture examples. I remember these days very good. We had a workshop with our employees and I heard what our employees said about this program, safety culture. Radek and Gosia, Chipita employees, said that to consolidate knowledge, we must repeat training systematically. And Agnieszka, Chipita employee too, said, I instruct colleagues to put cartons on the pallet in front of them, not to walk with cartons around the pallet. Explanation of work ergonomics. And our employees said together that we work with people, it takes time for change, people need time, the results will come for sure. Through the ICSA program, our employees take care of their own safety and most importantly, spread a culture of safety among all employees. I never thought that I would see production workers explaining work ergonomics to another workers. It was really, really remarkable day for me. I was very happy, heard this word. This is intervention, our employees. So we start with 200 interventions per month. At the end of the program, we had 38 interventions per month. We can conclude that we have started to change safety culture, but we are also aware that this is never-ending process, but we are determined and we will not give up on our goal. Health and safety management system aligns with the culture of vice versa. Organization may have a well-developed health and safety management system, but if not aligned with the culture, this health and safety management system might not be effective, might not produce the results intended for, whilst developing the safety culture helps to develop a health and safety management system fit to the organization and optimizing safety performance. Neither health and safety management system or any program such as culture development would isolate each one from the other, as should not isolate from the environment the business is being undertaken, allowing sustainable development. The environment includes employees' personal, family environment, local communities, other stakeholders. I remember that our CCT members, Tomasz said, driving home after work, I passed a cyclist who was not visible. So I stopped and I give him a reflective vest. So safety culture also impact on the private life of our employees. It was amazing because I understood that our employees have a safety filter in their head. Conclusion, safety is an integrated part of the business. Any health and safety management system should be fully aligned to the safety culture of the organization and its overall culture and vice versa. Work simultaneously on continuous development of the system and the culture toward sustainable business, toward sustainable world. For us, the most important Chipita word. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anita, for another interesting presentation. And I think one of the things that I've taken from that is, as Anita was talking about, aligning health and safety culture and health and safety management systems. I think if a lot of companies have got good health and safety systems in place, and I think these can play a part in enabling the culture to grow, so that the culture eventually becomes embedded into the business. But then it works the other way, that once you have got that culture, then it should drive the implementation of the management systems again. And so it's a little bit like, you know, the systems in place help to drive the culture goes up, and then that helps to embed the system. So I think that's it's a very, very good analogy of how you've explained it, Anita. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't forget that if you've got any questions for Anita, if you could send them on the chat for me, and I can make a list of them as we're going through the other presentations. And then at the end, I've got some questions for each of the presenters. So the next presentation is Nikos, I think, as he's known. Nikos is the HSSE manager from DP, which is the operator of the multi-purpose terminal at Limassol Port, on behalf of DP, working on behalf of the DP International Group. Nikos moved to Cyprus in 2006 after gaining 2 MScs, one in mechanical engineering at Thessaloniki Aristoteles University, and then an environmental management MSc in Athens Technical University. When he first moved to Cyprus, he was an environmental engineer. He then went working with Hermes, who looked after and managed the 2 airports, one at Larnaca and one at Paphos, and looking at occupational health and safety within the airport and aviation safety, and let's not forget the public safety as well. And then he moved to VTTI, which is the company that built the big tank farm over in Cyprus in a place called Ziggy, I think it was. So they built about 30 odd tanks there. So he was involved with that. And he joined DP World in 2016. And that's a little bit about Nikos. I'll let Nikos carry on with it now. Nikos's presentation is Safety Management Innovation in Cyprus. And the thing I like about it is back to basics, because I think, personally, I think that's where a lot of safety should be going as well. So I'm looking forward to this as well, Nikos. So, Nikos, over to you.
Thank you, Russell. I would like to thank, of course, the team that organizes the Safety Gala for the kind invitation. The title of my presentation is a little bit conflicting, referring at the same time to innovation and going back to basics. But I think that this is something critical that safety professionals need to take into account, and I need to share the experience on the ground. I will just go through my path But briefly, in order to present the, let's say, the working environments that I went through up to now, as mentioned already, I was working for the two international airports operator, which is a company consisting of multiple shareholders. The main shareholders are coming from overseas, from France, from Italy, from many, from Ireland, many countries abroad. Then I moved to VTTV, which is a member of VTTI oil storage group based in Rotterdam, which operates oil storage terminal all around the globe. And 4.5 years ago, I joined DP World Limassol, which is a member of DP World Group, which operates at this point of time more than 80 facilities around the globe. Let's say I will start by going back to the past in 1994, when Ed Woolard, the CEO of DuPont, a huge chemical group that's in United States of America, who, in reaction to the fact that there was lack of consistency as for safety performance across the group, he set up an action team and requested from them to find a way to improve safety performance at all locations, while striving at the same time for increased performance in all aspects. The main outcome of the work of this action team was the design of what is for me the Bible on safety management, the Bradley curve, which links the incident and injury rate with the cultural maturity of the workforce. There are 4 distinctive areas. The reactive one, where we have the highest rate of incidents, where the workforce is still acting following natural instincts. Everything is kicked to the safety manager. There is lack of management involvement, and safety is only led by natural instinct. The next step of development is what is called the dependent, where the main driving force is actual supervision. The third evolution stage is the independent, where the worker, the staff member, is taking over the responsibility of him or herself. And the last and the, let's say, the ideal level of development is the interdependent, where the workforce is managing safety as a team. It's really important to mention that it has been proved on the field, once again by DuPont, that the evolution stages as for safety culture and the safety incidents rate follows exactly the same path as for the improvement of efficiency and the improvement of performance on all aspects within an organization. And this is, of course, a really strong argument when we are presenting our request to senior management. I'm using the case of DP World Limassol as a case study in order to share our experience and link that with the Bradley curve concept in general. DP World Limassol had taken over the multi-purpose part of Limassol port, sharing some important facts. There are around 2,000 terminal users, while we are carrying the overall responsibility as per the concession agreement and the local legislation. DP World Limassol staff is only a minor part of the overall staff active in the terminal. The port used to be operated by Cyprus Ports Authority for decades, which is a semi-governmental entity, both as the port authority, meaning the regulator, and the operator, meaning controlling itself. There used to be lack of competition that would drive improvement. The port workers legislation had been issued back in 1955, and it's still valid. There was no dedicated safety management entity deployed up to that point, up to January 2017, when we have taken over. And a surprising element is also the fact that the port community has been safety, environment, security inducted for the first time in their working life just before we've taken over. Just for the first time. For your information, we had to induct more than 4,000 persons before taking over. Now, evolution via adoption. As soon as we hit the ground, we considered as a top priority to become familiar with the port community and the operations taking place at Limassol Port. An initial setup had been designed by the due diligence team coming from DP World Group, and as per the initial design, just an HSSC supervisor had been provided, reporting to operations manager. Even before taking over, this had been changed. An HSSC manager position had been allocated, including a security supervisor reporting to the manager, and the manager, of course, is reporting directly to the general manager. Following around the first 8 months of operation, it was clear that we had to further adapt to the situation on the ground. So a new position had been introduced, the HSC supervisor, and a few months later, further escalation had been materialized by introducing the position of the safety officer. I need to mention that the main, let's say, the main scope of these two positions was to be at the field and providing actual supervision during the operations, standing by the colleagues, standing by the terminal users, and monitoring the operations and intervening directly if and when needed. Going back to the Bradley curve, I am projecting the actual situation on the ground on the curve. As per the initial design of the team, it was clear that the group considered that the port community was standing on the independent stage of evolution as for safety culture. This was not the case. This was identified even before taking over the operation of the terminal. And we had to move back. We have to move where we should be, which is actually the initial stage of evolution, which is the reactive one. So we've rearranged the team, we escalated, we invested on the safety team, and we are moving to the next level of development, which is the dependent, which implies that the little cute policeman needs to be there in view in a few years to move to the next level of evolution. It's critical to mention that you cannot move, let's say, from the initial stage, the reactive one, to the dependent one, without going through the intermediate stage, the dependent stage. This is something that organizations frequently miss. And we as the safety professionals needs to remind them that There is a specific path that we need to go through. By projecting this concept on, let's say, on the road, the situation was like having an exotic sports car like a Lamborghini be driven on a muddy road. Those two are not compatible. So we need, as safety professionals, we need to focus on the road, on the working environment, on the safety culture, the current safety culture of the workforce, the actual culture of the workforce, and not to the culture that we intend to move to. We need to be realistic, we need to be honest, and realize that, yes, we are moving on a muddy road, or we are moving on a, let's say, state-of-the-art highway. If we are moving, or let's say, on a rocky and muddy road, we need to use the right Lamborghini. In this case, it's let's say a farmer's tractor. Then we need to let's say remove the rocks, remove the mud, have, let's say, a nice and tidy dirt road that once again we cannot drive along that on the exotic sports Lamborghini. We need to go through the SUV version, and as soon as the environment, the working environment, will cross to the next evolution stage, then we can, let's say, also in safety management terms, we can drive this fantastic car. What's the added value of being international, of being a member of an international group? In this case, of course, let's say it's really difficult for us to make reference to all the entities under the DP World Group, but we are lucky to have as a benchmark our regional colleagues of terminals all around the European continent. By interacting with the colleagues, by going through the incident reports, by having our monthly calls, was in position to, let's say, to sense what's the situation at the terminals of the region. And let's say, theoretically, I distributed the safety culture along the Bradley curve. As soon as we started, it was clear that we were still at the lowest level of development, and we, with the help of the colleagues from European terminals, now we are moving in order to meet them, and let's hope to bypass them and become the excellent terminal within the region. But I need to mention that most of the things that I'm currently setting wouldn't be accessible by me if I didn't have this privilege of working for international groups for at least the last 14 years. Safety culture maturity, as per my, let's say, actual experience on the ground, depends on the level of industrial development at its country. Let's say Cyprus is industrially, let's say, underdeveloped comparing, let's say, to the Netherlands or Belgium or UK. One big question mark is if the industrial development is an in-house product, or if it is something that just came from abroad. Once again, in Cyprus, let's say, technology, practices, processes are not birthed in Cyprus, but they are adopted. The state's economic competitiveness, the sustainability of economic growth, let's say the sectors, the main sectors that are driving the financial machine, competent resources availability, huge question mark, extent of economic immigrants deployment, both coming from EU and from third-party states, the framework as per which the economic immigrants are adopted at the local economy and local production lines, of course, the local mentality and the religion, and of course the legal framework, which is directly linked with the type of industrial development. Let's say industrially developed countries, you can sense there that the legal framework is following the development. Once again, in Cyprus, there is a time lag. An example of, let's say, of a best practice applied at our group is how, apart, let's say, of adapting to the actual needs on the ground, is also on how we react to incidents. We heard about that during previous presentations. In this case, there is a tiered approach where if there is an incident with actual impact of severity from 3 to 5, from moderate to catastrophic, or if the potential impact is from major to catastrophic, we are obliged to submit a critical incident report, a CIR as we call it. This needs to be submitted to the global platform in 24 hours. It is immediately distributed, the initial report, around the globe. As you can see, this is the distribution list of CIR. My name is just hidden around there. Let's say if something happens in one of our terminals in Australia, I will be informed about that in less than 24 hours. And believe me, there have been many cases that compatible with our operations incidents occurred at other terminals. We also need to submit the full investigation report in 21 days. And the regional HSSC entity is reviewing the whole process, including the action plan, and they are reacting if what we are providing in our action plan is not considered enough. And of course, the region is following up the progress, and if there is any delay observed, there is direct reaction. Let's say by expanding a little bit our focus area, in Cyprus, frequently we are hearing through media about serious occupational safety incidents. And as per the statistics, unfortunately, officially, we only have up to 2019. There has been a decreased trend from 2011 up to 2017, but in 2018 and 2019, there was an abrupt increase. The main question mark at this point is, once again, have we, in general, as governmental entities and safety professionals, have we captured what we actually need, what's the actual safety culture as per the main parameters that I mentioned before? Have we captured which is the actual safety culture level, and have we applied the appropriate measures in order to control the fatal incidents, at least the fatal incidents rate? During an international conference that I've attended 1.5 years ago in Nicosia, I asked from the participants to answer to this question: what's the current safety culture status of workforce in Cyprus? And you can see that 55% of the participants replied that this is still on the reactive, and 33% still on the dependent. In broad lines, around 88% of the overall workforce is still considered by safety professionals to not being independent, meaning that they need to be supervised and to have effective supervision. Our little friend, our safety policeman. Now, even though I had been talking up to now on going back, let's say, from the state-of-the-art platform that we had from that we saw from the Philip Morris colleagues. I was talking about actual monitoring of activities on the ground. Even though I'm referring to what may seem to be an old-fashioned process, there is still a lot of room for innovation. And this refers to the overall process of safety monitoring. The first question that, let's say, I had to ask while proceeding to this initiative is the process that we are applying now auditable? Is it registered? Is it verified? Are we securing and following up? Is it possible to continuously prove that? Meaning, is the outcome is measurable? Is the processing of the data is easy? Can we share in an easy, in a direct way, the outcome of the processing? And also, will the process survive? Is it of low cost? Is it user friendly? Are there any access restrictions? These had been the questions to be answered while trying to find out the right tool. Once again, we could strive for an exotic Lamborghini. Let's say, there are plenty out of the safety management softwares and platforms, but there had been a few disadvantages. We are working on a dirty, rocky road. Can we support an exotic state-of-the-art system? That's why, let's say, I moved to a simple and extremely simple and low cost and super user-friendly project management software. Let's say I'm just sharing that as an example. I'm not promoting the specific one, given that there are, once again, thousands of such platforms. We're using the MeisterTask Actions/project management platform, and we transform that due to the fact that it's highly editable from an Actions project management platform to a safety management/safety monitoring platform. One of the main advantages is that whatever you do on your desktop or what you see on the desktop is immediately reflected on portable devices like the smartphones. What we can do is we are planning our monitoring by registering all the upcoming operations, by describing the operations, by mentioning who are involved, which entities are involved, which is the agent, which is the area, which are the type of cargo, the type of equipment involved. So we are planning, and when someone is going out to monitor, he doesn't have to describe the operation that he will be observing because this is already registered. All the activities of the safety team are registered through this low-cost, super user-friendly tool, supported with tailor-made checklists that we set up per type of operation. For example, this is the general cargo vessel operation checklist, where we have identified all the points that someone who is monitoring the operation needs to take into account. And of course, by using a smart device, you can immediately attach pictures, videos, whatever can support the, let's say, what you observe on the ground. So we're closing the loop: planning, monitoring, registration, sharing, whatever is. Let me just point out that whatever is registered on the platform is directly shared with the involved team. Processing of the data, reaction, and following up. The main let's say, the main achievement of this process and using this tool is the fact that we can collect all the observations, we can easily process all the observations, and we can share them on the weekly meeting that we've introduced a few months ago with the operations foreman. We used to sit in the same room, but this is not, of course, possible nowadays. We are having our calls on weekly basis during which we share the outcome of this process in order for them to become aware, but also in order to get their reaction, their, let's say, their view on what the safety team had been registered. That's all from me. I just want to, let's say, to take advantage of this case and share my baby. It's the investigation that I conducted on the East Attica disaster that occurred back in 2018 with 102 fatalities. You can go through the presentation on my YouTube channel. This had been presented on 14th of November, just a few months after the incident at the European University First Nicosia Risk Forum. And this was also presented a few months later during the meeting of Fire in EU project, me being invited by the head of the Global Fire Monitoring Center. And today, it's 14th of April 2021, and there is still no public safety investigation in place. I would be grateful if you could spend a few minutes to go through my baby, this presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, Nikos, thank you very much. I'm sure most people will have a look at that presentation. I'll certainly have a look later over this next couple of days. So thank you very much for that, Nikos. One thing I'd like to just mention out of that, when you were talking about the Bradley curve, and you were going down the line and showing where people were, the interesting bit for me was that you recognise that where you were and you look back. And a lot of people, I think when they're introducing programs, safety programs or any programs, they just push the start button and keep going. And I think just like life, every now and again in life, you've got to stop, get off the conveyor belt and look back where you've been to make sure everything's in line. And I think that's where, when you said you stopped, I mean, you didn't start again, but you went backwards, then to come forwards. And I think if you're going to go anywhere with any programs at all, in order to get them properly embedded, you've got to make sure they're properly understood. So that's why it's worthwhile going forward, but always keep looking back to where you were. It's a little bit of reactive monitoring, I suppose you could call it in that context, but I think it is important. And I think the other one thing I'd like to just pick up on that, what you said, Nikos, was about the way that you shared safety throughout the business with all those line emails where you could pick your name out, etc. And I think one of the things I look at is, I think internationally we don't share safety as much in terms of, we have these conferences like this, but we don't, the negatives don't come out as much where we can learn from them. And in the UK, what we have is a lot of health and safety groups, the National Safety Groups UK. And I think individual countries and perhaps the international community should try and get together and to promote more of these safety groups where we can share some of our problems that we've had and the solutions and let everybody else learn from it. Because for me, in my engineering training centre many years ago, we made a small guard for a sewing machine for a company. And when I suggested to the safety manager I was going to take it across the road to one of the competitors, they were like, you can't do that because it's a competitor. But for me, safety should be free. And I think we need to push that along a little bit more. But Nikos, thank you very much for an excellent presentation. And we'll move along now to our final guest speaker this afternoon. Just give me 1 minute. Evangelos Pikris, I think that's the right way of pronouncing it. Evangelos is going to talk about contractors. This is where everybody starts saying, oh my God, contractors. But we need contractors. We have to work with contractors. And as the title of his presentation says, they're our partners, but they're also our partners in safety. And what Evangelos is going to look at is a global perspective, because he works for Cargill Company in the food industry. He's the capital project lead and health and safety lead. for the EMEA region, and his journey started in 2002 with Shell Oil Company. He moved through the business, downstream business, leading to health and safety assignments and teams in various international environments in both Europe and the Middle East. And he's got over 26 years experience in the business. He's got, again, he's got 2 MScs, one in chemical engineering from NTUA in Athens, and also one in environmental technology from Manchester University, near where I live. He's also got, the 24, 26 years experience with social responsibility and reporting processes and logistics safety. He's also been heavily involved in contractor management and auditing behavioural-based safety within his business and within contractors. So we all work with contractors, our partners, and so I'd like to hand you over now to Evangelos so that he can give you his opinion on how to do it. Thank you very much, Evangelos.
Thank you, Russell. Good afternoon to everyone. Please allow me to share my screen. Yeah, so coming today to share an initiative that we are following in our company and introduce you into the logic of getting contractors on our side and not opposite to us. So just to give a glance of who we are in Cargill, we're talking about a global footprint company, something like 160,000 employees operating in 70 countries, and with a very diverse portfolio of products, mainly around agriculture, food industry, and animal nutrition. But some products just to mention: cocoa and chocolate, edible oils, starch and sweeteners, texturizers, and general trading of oil seeds. So a very diverse portfolio of products, not within the so-called high-risk industries, but we will see later on that this doesn't matter in our case. Our global footprint, the company is headquartered in United States, and it has a relatively bigger investment in North America, followed by EMEA region, Latin America, and Asia Pacific. Our company vision obviously embraces safety, and this is by the statement that we are aiming for zero harm for our people, for the communities where we are operating, for any stakeholder that is doing business with us. And this is the key driver for safety improvements. Obviously, a company of that size and of that nature has a rather complex model of structure. And the EHS organization is equally in the same status. So while recently we have transformed into a regional EHS organization, that means that EHS is per region organized. We still have various businesses. We still have our biggest enterprises. So we have to interact with a number of stakeholders internally at global level, at enterprise level, at regional level, and of course at local site level. So nothing is easy in our day-to-day activity and in our efforts to improve safety and achieve our zero harm objective. But let us think about contractors, why we need contractors. The most obvious answer to this would be that, yes, we do lack the expertise. We cannot accommodate that much diverse competence and skills within companies. And that's the first reason that comes to our mind. But other than that, obviously, we're looking for flexibility. We're looking about people that will join a site or an assignment, a project assignment, and will be in the position to deliver quickly and, of course, under a certain cost effectiveness. Obviously, we have fewer legal obligations. Contractors are not a one-man show. They are not single entities. at least not all the times. We are talking about legal entities that have their own obligations, and mostly we say that we rely upon fulfilling those obligations. And finally, but not the last in terms of priority, it is safer. But is this really the case? Have we experiencing that by utilizing contractors, we come up instantly and directly into a safer mode of operation? Some statistics out of the oil and gas industry from IOGP Association show that this is not the case. Apparently, in the last decades, we can see that the upper curves, which reflect contractor statistics, are always higher, at a higher point compared to the company-related rates and the company-related incidents. So this speaks for itself. It's not the case that it is by default safer to assign activities to contractors, but we need really quite some way to get there. Let us see our case for action within the company. Contractors account for approximately 20% of total Cargill hours as per the fiscal year 20 figures. We've got something like 15,000 contractors scattered across the regions, with 2,000 of them approximately in Europe. And we're not talking about equipment vendors, mainly about service suppliers. And on the right side of the slide, you can see what it really is the case about incidents, what we call internally significant incidents between the years 2010 and 2019. So those incidents that relate with contractors, are linked with contractors, account for over half of the total incident record in our company. And of course, we're thinking that, yes, there are companies outside, because Cargill, as I mentioned, is not necessarily rated as the high-risk industry, but it serves and it hosts quite some activities that can be simulating the high-risk industry. And we need to learn from companies that are already qualifying contractors. They are already assessing contractors before assigning any job. And of course, we're looking into management tools that can give us a higher efficiency in contractor management. So all this would finally lead and facilitate our way to zero harm. The drivers for changing this approach and getting into a more systematic way of assessing contractors and qualifying contractors is, first of all, our zero harm strategy, then our desire to adopt a competent system for people and contractor, and finally, we would like to see partners aligning with our values. Put people first, do the right thing, and always reach higher. And of course, we see the opportunity to manage the risk. And obviously, the opportunity is not on the right side of the chart, where it is most common that we put attention on how the contractors are performing, what they need to do, what kind of risk we have. The interesting thing is to place our attention on the left side, where it is the planning, where it is the procurement processes, and where we have the opportunity in pre-mobilization occasions to communicate better with the contractor before we actually reach at the field activities status. The basis of our expectations, something that has been created since 2015 almost, our lifesavers, in whichever other industry you might hear it as a golden safety rules, we call it lifesavers. This forms the basis, and of course, by creating and having in place such a document, we are already in the position to develop something more. And this is a manual for contractor companies, which is outlining all the necessary requirements, the minimum requirements, the minimum requirements, as we call it, before a contractor can collaborate with Cargill. And of course, we're not talking about isolated initiatives. We're talking about a complete contractor safety management system. We would like to see the holistic approach of that and touch elements apart from pre-qualification, which is our core topic today, bid evaluations, contract awards, pre-mobilization, and obviously monitoring and evaluating on a continuous basis our contractors. The full engagement life cycle for a contractor entity into our operations. So we will focus for our discussion today on pre-qualification, and what we are really after is to conduct pre-qualification prior to contractors carrying out work at any Cargill site, at any business that we are running across the globe. So this is the primary scope of pre-qualification. And of course, there are a number of deliverables that we expect to see. A set pre-qualification questionnaire, the safety program of contractors' activities to be communicated clearly in advance of their engagement to our operations. We try to classify in this respect, and by this initiative, contractors as per their risk level. We see trades like electricians, like scaffolders that are at the top of the pyramid, and we see others that are rather of a lower or medium risk. Finally, what we aim is to have the so-called branded Cargill qualified contractor, an entity that will reflect proper competencies, capabilities, and skills in order to do the work safely and take above everything the safe decisions. And of course, people and entities that will align with our culture of zero harm. So the pre-qualification solution that we have put forward, in principle, talks about the company ourselves defining the standards, the contractor registering in a third-party vendor platform, completing an initial risk assessment and submitting any requested documentation. Our third-party vendor collecting all the required documentation plus our standards and making the relevant assessments. And of course, contractor at the final stage has to complete specific site-specific onboarding and trainings. What would help this particular action is that we will be in the position to make right decisions based on factual information about the contractor's status and the contractor's historic safety performance. So that's the essence of the pre-qualification solution. The vendor that we're utilizing in the platform in which we are registered is a kind of global scale software platform. The contractor, the vendor itself, is world leading in supply chain risk management. They provide an end-to-end solution with an easy-to-use platform. And of course, the main services are pre-qualification, insurance verification, auditing, and of course, talking at the lower level of employee engagement, they also provide employee level training and qualification. And this particular vendor is collaborating with over 300 blue chips companies, as we would call them, across the globe. And the platform itself serves almost 20 languages, different languages, and that's the beauty of it, that it can be really deployed for companies with a wider footprint in wherever in the world. However, the vendor has certain capacities, and here you can see what it looks like, the readiness level to deploy the platform, at least for our case, for Cargill. So with the green highlighted countries, you can see the regions where the vendor is pretty much in the position to implement the system fully, having in place both the language translated documentation and all necessary translations within the platform, but also the resources and the capacity to work with our company. Where for the rest of the colors, there is a tiered kind of readiness level where we're working with our vendor to achieve the highest level, which is green. What essentially we get from our pre-qualification vendor, apart from supplier pre-qualification, insurance monitoring, audits, and a module that deals with the particular worker for each contractor, call it worker management. We also get quite a number of statistics via the analytics module. We are getting supplier reviews. And of course, we're getting the opportunity to rationalize our supplier base and even find new suppliers, because the specific platform hosts a number of clients, not only ourselves, and we can even have access to third-party contractors. So the platform itself, as it appears after registration of a contractor, will give us the hint about which status is each of the contractors' entities is at the moment, meaning compliant, the 4 levels. That means a contractor which is acceptable and approved as per our initial criteria. Forced conditional, we have those cases for contractors that we feel that they can be approved, even though they are not fulfilling 100% of the criteria, but maybe they are having a program in place to improve. We have accepted their program, and we continue under the indication of forced conditional. And of course, we have non-compliant contractors, those that do not achieve and do not fulfill our criteria. Some snapshots around the platform itself, where you can see, first of all, the list of contractors indicating the status level, whether someone is compliant or non-compliant or forced compliant. Some analytics, where you can see that a number of trends and charts can be produced, can be customized, and also the portion of the platform where we keep our documentation uploaded, and we are able to update this documentation for the sake of better communication with the contractors. But let us see, this initiative has started somewhere in October 2020, under all the difficulties, of course, that the whole world has faced since February 2020. And it started with our regional organization in North America. So about 6,000 contractors in total. Out of them, they were screened, and in scope of this particular initiative, it was placed around 5,000 contractors. So far, after, let's say, 8 months or 9 months of implementation, we say that 74%, 75% approximately of those contractors, of the 5,000 contractors, have accepted registration. This is the first step for someone to get in the platform. And yes, there are some fees, registration fees for them, and the rest of them declined. The main reasons for declining, some of them claimed the membership fees, some of them that they haven't done work with Cargill in the recent years. And of course, we had entities that didn't respond at all. As per the compliance status, out of the 74% of those that accepted and registered in the system, we had something like 45% compliant and 50% compliant by exception, or forced compliant, as we call them, and another 50% non-compliant, while we're waiting for a significant portion of contractors to respond out of those registered. So what success looks like for us, if someone would ask us, okay, what would you trying to achieve out of this system? First of all, the figures. The figures talk about 60% of our target to have a compliant status within the registered portfolio of contractors, and 40% of contractors to be approved by exception. This is an initial target. It started again in North America, but we see how it will be adopted in the rest of the regions. And obviously, we want one system, we want one global system and one uniform process across the board in order to manage those complexities that I showed earlier in our slide for our EHS governance model. We want to secure better availability, reliability, and obviously safety from contractors. And finally, something that it is not really evident in the first instance, we would like synergies among the regions and the businesses. Our organization so far, and apart from our EHS department, was sort of fragmented. I don't say that we are working in silos. However, each business has its own governance model and its own EHS team. So you can imagine that this is now a transitional period, and this system is actually one of the elements that we use in this direction to bring together the various businesses operating under the one group Cargill. Some statistics out of our vendors platform, as per their study that they initiated in 2020, in various regions, US, Europe, Latin America, and Canada, you can see that the trend of KPIs, safety KPIs, the most common KPIs, total recordable incident rate or lost work case rate, all of them seem to have a declining trend. That's the fact out of the registered contractors database, not only from Cargill contractors, of course, but out of the global clients that this particular vendor serves. What benefits do we see? First of all, increased visibility. I would say that everyone out of this platform has quick access to a number of qualified contractors in the first instance. And secondly, for those that are really interested in the safety performance, we can have access to the history of those contractors. As for financial value, I cannot but mention the fact that we expect that we will have contractors consolidation from smaller entities into bigger entities. And of course, we have a more competitive bidding process whenever that happens for our construction projects. Proactive versus reactive character, yes. The case calls that we act early enough. We don't act while contractor is right outside our door within any of our plants. We act really early. We act in the very critical point of taking a decision, and this gives the advantage in the whole story. And finally, of course, this is really helping our safety objectives and our other initiatives across the globe. And of course, we see that we are aiming for a different contract strategy. We are aiming to reach the upper level in the particular curve, where we will have qualified contractors, and we will be collaborating with strategic partners who are aligned with Cargill strategy. Of course, we cannot escape out of specialty contractors, those that really make a very special work for us, and we might be in a difficult position to locate them even in a region, not only in a country. And finally, where do we go? For me, this is an effort that is part of a journey. As per my title in the presentation, we would like contractors that will become partners, and above all, trusted partners. And this will only become reality if, first of all, we show transparency, we share information, we don't hide anything. Russell mentioned earlier on that safety has to be shared. It's not something that goes underneath the table. We need to share the values, and we need to have contractors that will commit to share the same values as Cargill. We need to have a mutual understanding of strengths and weaknesses to identify which are our contractors. What do they bring to us? What advantage do they bring? And what kind of areas we need to improve together? And of course, we need to have a common target, which is, yes, reach higher, aiming for improvements. And it is up to us, it is up to the organization, of course, to make it happen, to deploy the right resources and the right at the right timings in order to make this global scale project successful. That's it from my side. Thanks very much. And yeah, open to any question, either through Russell or through other presenters. Thanks very much. Russell, I think you are on mute.
Done it. Sorry, I thought I had done it. Thank you very much, Evangelos, for another very interesting presentation. One of the things I took from that is where one of the slides you put up was about zero harm and aligning with work values, etc. And one of the things you said was that you take the time to make sure you get it right at the beginning and spending time with the contractors and working with them. And I think sometimes that often gets forgotten because people just want to get the job done. But you're better off spending the time, just like with your children, I suppose, spend time in the early stages and you'll get better benefits at the end. So working with them and being transparent, as you said to on the last slide, is a very, very good way of developing. I think it's the trust that we have to develop between each other. You can trust them and we can trust you. I think that's very, very important. During the presentations, we've had quite a few questions come through. So I've lined up into different speakers. So I'd like to start asking the questions of the people from the audience now to the speakers. So what I will do, I'll do one for Anka, one for Anita and so on, one at a time like that, rather than bombarding everybody with lots of questions. And that way we get some chance to get through most of them. So we'll start with an Anka, Anka should I say. The first question for you, Anka. This is really going to be testing my Greek pronunciation, by the way, this next little bit. This question is from Panos Antonakopoulos. The question for you, Anka, is this. What if workers refuse to wear PPE because they're obstructing them, or the PPE is obstructing them, or it's annoying them during their work? So what if workers refuse to wear PPE because the PPE is obstructing them or annoying them during their work? I'll leave that for you to answer.
First of all, we have to check the quality of the PPE. Yes, we enforce to wear the PPE, but they must know why, because the PPE is the last barrier to avoid the danger. Yeah, it's the last barrier from the risk, to minimize the risk. And it's important to explain them very clearly what is the reason of this PPE, that their safety is more important than how comfortable they are feeling. But also we have to check the quality of the PPE, because if the PPE is not good and it's not easy for them to wear, so we have to change it, no doubt.
Okay, thank you, Anka. The next question is for Anita. This is from Lealios Asterios, and the question for you, Anita, is how long has it taken in your business, how long has it taken for you to roll out the safety culture program? So how long has it taken to roll out the safety culture program at Chapito?
We started changing the culture 6 months ago, but it is, we all know that it is never-ending process. After 6 months, the program intervention of our employees decreased from 200 to 38 monthly. So I think that it's very good progress, but I think that we still change the culture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anita. Now we have one for Nikos from Prodemos Papa Vasiliou. After having recognized the correct safety culture of the workforce, how can safety culture be developed to the next level?
I wouldn't say the correct, I would say the actual safety culture.
The question was correct, but actual.
Yes, the process is it's straightforward. By closely monitoring on the ground and by reacting even on disciplinary level, the culture will gradually but not. This will take a considerable amount of time. The culture will start to change because our colleagues and terminal users will embed in their mindset that there will be a reaction if they will be cutting corners or not following the provided process. This is the first step to get in their mind that there is a high probability of having a reaction. It doesn't sound good or politically correct, but we are working now on the, let's say, on the fear factor. Going from natural instinct to the fear of reaction by the organization. It sounds old-fashioned, but we are obliged to go through this stage.
Thank you for that, Nikos. We've got another question now from Mr. Panopoulos, George Panopoulos from Management Force for Evangelos. Considering contractors undertake non-routine works in non-fixed environments, do we compare organisations' incident statistics and its contractor ones?
Yeah, I would say that we're not getting into this kind of so-called trap. We're trying to see the contractor in their own industry and having in place the risk level classification that we are following before we partner with any contractor. I think this gives all the attention to their particular activities in the environment that they operate. So we are not only thinking our business, which has almost nothing to do with contractors apart from maintenance of equipment and construction activities, and we are taking the perspective of their own activities in their own industry trade. So that's how we utilize the incident statistics in this respect. And of course, we're taking as a benchmark the wider industry for technical services that are offered in such cases and in such companies.
Okay, thank you for that, Evangelos. We have another question now for Anka from George Panopoulos again. You mentioned that people may import to work family issues and problems, etc. So they bring the problems into work. What can an organisation do to deal with this or to tackle this? Anka.
Okay, first of all, we, as each organization, have to organize to have a good competence of people, starting with different kind of trainings, to have competence to explain people what they have to do, to consult people when the procedures are issued in order to be adapted to their works, their tasks. Because let's remember Texas City incident, yes, the procedure was to restart the plant was not according with the reality. The level in that column was not possible to be kept as the indicator measure and as it was written in the procedure. So people were forced to have some deviation from the procedure. So it's very important to listen to people and to adapt our procedure, work instruction, to be sure that can be used, and of course to apply the management consequence and also the motivation. If people take the decision to break the rules, they have to know that is a consequence, and if they don't know something, to have the to can ask, yes, not to be afraid to ask. And if the superior observe a good safety behavior, to motivate, to recognize this. I think
Okay,
that
thank you
this
for
is
that.
a recipe.
Thank you for that, Anka. I think it is important we get to know our employees and we recognise the issues that they have and the changes in behaviour, and they don't feel scared of coming forward to talk to us neither. Thank you, Anka. Another question now for Anita from, this is really definitely checking my Greek pronunciation now. This is from Yanis Angela Kopolopoulos, something like that. Yanis, this question is for Anita. What kind of dangers appear, especially in food industries, and how manage to manage them to minimise them in Chipito? How do you manage to minimise them in Chipito? So what kind of dangers appear, especially in the food industries, and how they manage to minimise them in Chipito?
For me, the most dangerous is work without guards on the machine. Because of our safety program, we try and explain employees that they should use guards on the machine. But I think that it is still a big problem for us. And what we can do, we can explain workers, not only safety department, but shift supervisor, production manager. If everyone will focus on this goal, I believe that we will have success. And the next thing, I think, forklift on the warehouses. Because right now, when pedestrian is on the warehouse, it is big dangerous, I think. But in our new type of forklift, I think that we minimize this dangerous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You are mute, Mr. Russell. Mr. Russell, you are mute, I think.
Yeah, I've just been told by the organisers to conclude very shortly. So I think we've got two final questions, and we've all had 2 questions each. So the next question will go to Nikos, and the final one to Evangelos. Apologies for those that haven't had all the questions answered, but you can on the chat ask the questions of each other during the rest of the day. So this question is from Panos Antonakopoulos. Sorry, Antonakopoulos. Kopoulos. It's my pronunciations. Excuse me. This is for Nikos. Would you consider setting up a HSE management system according to 14,001 or 45,001 at Limassol Port?
Yes, we are currently, since July 2020, we're certified as 45,000. And this was in transition from 14,000 that we got in July 2018. We actually supporting an, let's say, integrated management system, 9 and 18. And this year we will also go for 28 on security management. You are muted again, Russell. Russell, you are muted.
My glasses, I can't see. It's a bit too close for me with my very focal. So I think I've hit the button and I've not. So thank you for that, Nikos. The final question goes to Evangelos from George Florides. What actions are taken to improve the compliance of the contractor to the safety culture of the company, and what implications or problems do they have on productivity? So what actions are taken to improve the compliance of the contractor to the safety culture of the company, and what implications and problems do they have on productivity? Over to you.
Thanks for the question. Yeah, obviously we have a system in place where we're taking into account all the assessments that need to be done beforehand for any contractor that will either act as a regular partner or as an ad hoc partner on the occasion of a construction project or other big shutdown that happens in our plants. So these actions call definitely for submission of a health and safety plan beforehand, evaluation of method statements and risk assessments, pre-mobilization meetings that are happening already in order to communicate again all the respective safety aspects for a project work. And of course, if we're talking about binding the contractor legally, we introduce the document that I have shown on one of my slides, the contractor manual EHS requirements into each and every contract agreement. So these are the key steps that we are taking and are already in place. I would like to say that with the platform, we would like to act more systematically and have a uniform approach across the globe. So that's what the platform will facilitate. However, the systems apply. We know that we have a number of businesses that are spread across the globe, and this is the difficulty in such organizations. But we believe that based on this platform, we can achieve the kind of convergence that we want for all our people and all our contractors. Still on mute, Russell.
Done it. Thank you. Can I just say on behalf of Management Force and the organisers, thank you very much to all the speakers today for your presentations and for taking the questions. I'm sure everybody's found them very interesting. I certainly enjoyed them. And what I'd like to do now is invite all the guests and participants to join the networking session. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending. And again, once again, thank you very much to all the speakers for your presentations and the time that you've taken to contribute to the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.